Chapter 21. The Divine Weaver's Scarf. After retrieving our treasures from the nest, I headed toward a simple rope that hung from the wood ceiling. When I pulled it, a rattling noise came from above the treehouse and a panel opened. A ladder descended and struck the floor. I explained to Kishan, "The next part will be the hardest. This ladder leads to the outside branches, which we have to climb until we hit the top, where there's a giant bird's nest. The scarf will be there, but so will the iron birds."
Iron birds?
Yes, and we'll have to fight them to take the scarf. Wait a second. I rifled quickly through Mr. Kadam's research and found what I was looking for. Here, this is what we're fighting. The picture of the mythological Stymphalian bird was frightening enough without the description he'd included. Kishan read,
"Terrible flesh-eating birds with iron beaks, bronze claws, and toxic droppings. They usually live in large colonies."
Swell, aren't they?
"Keep close to me, Kels. We can't be sure that you heal here."
For that matter, we can't be sure you heal here either. I grinned. But I'll try not to leave you alone too long.
"Funny. After you."
We climbed the ladder and found ourselves in a cluster of branches set tightly enough together that they reminded me of a children's jungle gym. It was easy enough to climb if I didn't think about falling. Kishan insisted that I climb first so he could catch me if I slipped, which only happened once. My foot slipped on some wet wood, and Kishan caught it, shoe and all, in his palm and pushed me upward again. After a good climb, we rested on a branch with our backs against the trunk. Kishan lower, me higher. He tossed me a canteen of sugar-free lemonade, which I accepted gratefully. As I drained it in long gulps, I noticed some damage on the limb I was seated on. "Kishan, take a look at this." A thick, gummy chartreuse paste was splattered on the end of my branch and had apparently eaten through half of it. "I think we're looking at the toxic droppings," I remarked wryly. Kishan wrinkled his nose.
"And this is old, maybe as long as 2 weeks ago. The smell is nasty. It's sharp and bitter."
He blinked and rubbed his eyes.
"It's burning my nostrils."
I guess we'll have to watch out for toxic bombs, huh? Now that he had the smell of the birds, we could follow his nose to the nest. It took another hour of climbing, but we finally came upon a giant nest resting on a trio of tree limbs. Wow, that's huge! Much larger than Big Bird's.
"Who's Big Bird?"
A giant yellow bird on kids' television. You think any of the birds are close?
"I don't hear anything, but the smell is everywhere."
Huh. Lucky I have a tiger nose nearby. I can't really smell anything.
"Count your blessings. I don't think I'll ever get this smell out of my mind."
It's only fair you get to fight nasty-smelling birds. Remember, Wren got the kappa and immortal monkeys. Kishan grunted and kept moving toward the giant nest. Old droppings bleached the surface of the tree branches, weakening them. If we stepped too close to one, the branch's surface crumbled into white powder and sometimes broke off altogether. We crept closer and depended on Kishan's hearing for warning of approaching birds. The nest was the size of a large swimming pool and made of dead tree limbs the thickness of my arm, all woven together like a giant Easter basket. We climbed over the top and dropped into the nest. 5 massive eggs rested in the middle. Each one would have filled a jacuzzi. Bronze and gleaming, they reflected the sunlight into our eyes. Kishan lightly tapped on one, and we heard a hollow metallic echo. I circled the egg and gasped. The eggs were resting on top of the most beautiful, diaphanous material I'd ever seen. The Divine Weaver's scarf. The cloth looked alive, Colors shifted and swirled in geometric patterns on the scarf's surface. A kaleidoscope of pale blue shifted into hot pink and yellow, which twisted into soft green and gold, and then slid into blue-black raven billows. It was mesmerizing. Kishan scanned the sky and assured me the coast was clear. Then he crouched down next to me to examine the scarf.
We'll have to roll the eggs off one by one, Kels. They're heavy.
All right, let's start with this one. We gripped a gleaming egg and rolled it carefully to the side of the nest, and then went back for the second. We found a feather near the second egg. Normal bird feathers were lightweight, hollow and flexible. This one was longer than my arm, heavy, and metallic. Kishan could barely move it, and the edge was as sharp as a circular saw. This isn't good. Kishan agreed.
We'd better hurry.
We were rolling the third egg when we heard a loud screech. A far-off bird was making its way toward the nest. It didn't sound happy. I shaded my eyes to get a better look. It seemed small at first, but my opinion of its size quickly changed as it sped closer. Mighty wings held the creature in the air as it rode the thermals. Thump! The sun hit the metallic body of the giant bird and reflected the light, blinding me. Thump! It had now come much closer and seemed to have doubled in size. It screeched out a harsh, wailing call. A quieter screech echoed in answer as another joined the first bird. Thump! The tree moved up and down as something landed on a nearby branch. A bird screamed at us and started making its way toward the nest. As always, Kishan stepped in front of me. We moved backward quickly, keeping the trunk behind us. Thump, thump, thump. A bird flew over us. It was more monster than bird. I got a good look at it as it swooped overhead. Its head was tilted so it could fix its eye on us. I estimated the wingspan to be around 40 feet, or about half the length of Mr. Kadam's plane.
This is the end of disc number 11. Please insert disc number 12.